Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your next session on Coached. Now that we've uploaded a file, it's important that we go ahead and we create our very first observation template. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen again and bring you back to the dashboard. The dashboard over here on the left-hand side is going to tell you different parts of the system. We have our dashboard, we have observations, export to Excel, and then information on my account. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new observation template. We're going to click Begin Observation. For this set, we're just going to go ahead and click Scan Yourself. This is going to help you to go ahead and create that first observation template. Sometimes it takes just a second to get started. So now that you've gone ahead and you've got to, after you've clicked Scan Yourself, we're going to skip this part here. So if you've uploaded a video in the past, it automatically will show up here. But right now, we're just going to click Skip. And what we're going to do is it asks you if you want to use an observation template. In this case, we're going to choose the first selection, which is use an existing template or create a new one. This should be the option you choose, I would say 99.9% of the time. Once we're here, we see four different areas. We have our saved templates, we have our buttons, our media, and then our categories, practices, and implementation markers. We're going to start with the buttons. The buttons are areas that you are going to count the number of times a student teacher does a specific thing. So it could be using a correct prompt, using appropriate wait time, presenting an instructional cue, using appropriate attention cue. So when we are in front of the classroom, we're not screaming to the class, we're using 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, or we're using some type of attention cue. We also can count the type of questions that our students ask. We see OTR, opportunities to respond. So how many deep questions are they asking? How many rote questions, choral or non-academic? We further can look at the type of feedback that our students are providing to their children. Is the feedback academically specific, behavioral specific, or is it that non-academic feedback that we see many times where a student's walking around the room and saying, good, great, nice, I like that. Further, we can look at generic feedback. That's the generic feedback statements. Are we looking at prompts or pre-corrections? Are we looking at behavior-specific redirections, error corrections? The number of students, so children that are asking questions, or the number of students who are asking questions. So the number of questions or the number of students. For me, the areas that are very important to me as a supervisor right now, I really want to look at the type of questioning that my students are using in their lessons, because I found that I'm getting a lot of those rote questions or those choral response questions. So I'm going to unclick all of the rest of the boxes here and only have available to me deep questioning, rote questioning, choral, and non-academic opportunities to respond. Then I'm going to go over to the media box. The media is one way to look at differentiation that the students, or universal design for learning, that students are using within the classroom. Are they using text? Are they using diagrams or graphs? Are they using objects or manipulatives, graphic organizers? Are they using a picture to show the students? Are they using movie, adapted text? Are they using different response options? I like to keep those clicked personally, just because as a special educator, I really want to see my students when they're in their placements using all kinds of different materials. So I'm going to keep those clicked for me. And then we get back down into our categories, practices, and our implementation markers. I like to think of this area as a tree. So the trunk of the tree, the big ideas, are our categories. What are the big categories that we're looking at? Underneath each category, we have the branches of the tree that go out. So within things such as explicit instruction, we have I do, we do, and you do. Within classroom management, we might have using appropriate transition time. So we start with the trunk, those are our categories. The practices build off of the categories. And then the leaves are our implementation markers. Those are the individual things that we can see our students actually doing when they are teaching a lesson. So for me, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to unclick everything first. I find it's easier if I start by unclicking, then I can go in and I can dig down deeper and I can look and see what's really important to me as a supervisor. Again, not all of my students that I'm supervising may need the same thing. That's where Coached is really great and very customizable. So for right now, I'm going to click explicit instruction, and I'm going to click classroom management. And then I'm going to click these little arrows that are right next to them. When I click on the arrow, so remember, we have the category, then we have the individual practice, the practices that come off of the category. So I really want to look at active supervision and transition time. If you don't know what one of these categories actually means, by all means, don't click it. Don't use that in your supervision. But you may want to dig deeper into other times and see what some of these other categories include. So I've gone ahead, I've selected active supervision and transition time. And then under explicit instruction, I'm going to open that up and I'm going to keep the I do it. I'm going to keep the independent practice or the you do it, and I'm going to keep the we do it. And that's all I'm going to select for my student. This now has made me a template that I can use when I go to observe my student teacher or my pre-service teacher. I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to click Save Template. And then I'm going to give my template a name. And I'm just going to call this Video Practice. I'm going to save it. And you will notice that when you look up here and it says continue with video practice settings, that now I've made a template that I can use. I may have made a template previously, and all of those templates are stored right here for you. So when you click the down arrow where it says select template to use, you can click the down arrow and you can select any template that you have created yourself. Once you select your template, you're going to click load template. And that way that template will go ahead. And again, you'll see that it says continue with these, now it says test 2 settings. That's how you create a template. Now I'd like you to go and create your own template that you can use for observing your student. Have a great day, everybody.